What's going on, guys? It is Vital here to bring you a brand new video today. And I know it's been a little bit, it's been like 2.5 weeks, I think, since I posted my last video, so I'm really sorry about that. The only reason I really have is for being either lazy or unmotivated, and that's kind of the issue, really, is that everything's kind of stale right now leading up to Advanced Warfare. Like, I can only post so much Black Ops 2 League play before people start getting bored, and myself included, I'm getting bored. I just want November 3rd to come around so I can play some Advanced Warfare, but it's not really the point of this commentary, although I will give you a little backstory about the gameplay. I was playing League play, it was hardpoint standoff, and one of our teammates actually quit out, so we were playing 3v4. I dropped 66 kills, the most I've ever dropped in a League play match before. We actually lost by like 30. We could have won if I got a 4-piece in the next hill, possibly, but I didn't. I got 3 and I almost turned on the last guy, but you know, I just had to post it because it was so many kills. Like, I just was going off, really, and yeah, it was really entertaining even though we lost. But I'm actually gonna be talking about some Advanced Warfare news. So Michael Condrey on Twitter, he is one of the lead designers for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, actually announced that there is going to be a dead silence type of thing, and what he's referring to is the Exo-Mute ability. Exo-Mute is one of the Exo abilities for your Exo-Suit. It's kind of like the camo one or the hover one, like one of those. It's limited. He said 20 seconds is the maximum amount of time you get for Exo-Mute, unless you have the overcharge perk on, which then gives you 30 seconds. And I just wanted to give my opinion, because a lot of people on Twitter were saying, oh, this is really bad, you should keep it the way it was. And, you know, in a sense, they're right, but in a sense they're wrong, because I'm speaking right now through the esports side of things, the competitive Call of Duty thing. So if you're a pub player, this might really not affect you too much, but for those guys who want to play Search and Destroy with competitive rules, you're gonna want this ability. So basically, with Black Ops 2 and Ghost, they've had the perk Dead Silence, and in Black Ops 2 is a little bit different than it is in Ghost, because in Black Ops 2, it's only for when you're sprinting or moving around. Like, if you fall from any distance and land somewhere, you're going to be heard, and you're not completely silent. There's just like a little bit, you can just hear it a little bit, you can hear footsteps a little bit, but with the sound, the footsteps sound in Black Ops 2, it wasn't a big deal because it's really muffled, so you didn't even need dead silence really, but it would help you. But no one really used it in Hardpoint or Capture the Flag in the competitive rule set. They only use it in Search, because you obviously don't want people to know where you are in Search and Destroy. But when you're playing Hardpoint or Capture the Flag, it's not a big deal because you're going to be constantly getting in gunfights, so there's really no sneaking involved if you play it the right way, of course. But in Ghost, for like the first 3 to 4 months of the game's lifespan, the competitive Search and Destroy scene was awful because Dead Silence really didn't do anything. You could still hear footsteps perfectly clear, and the thing is about Dead Silence is that if you have a good headset, you can hear people if they don't have it on, and that's why it's really important to be in Call of Duty games, because when you play Search and Destroy, you don't want people to hear where you are all the time, and that was the problem. You couldn't run around really in Search and Destroy and Ghost for a while. You had to like crouch around so people couldn't hear you, and that was just really slow pace. There was no strategy involved. It was kind of just sit back with an AR and see if someone peeked out. And there is some of that, but there's a lot more aggressiveness with the new Dead Silence that they put in Ghost, which was completely silent. You can't hear anything unless you drop from a considerable distance, in which case you will probably be close to death at that point. So, and you can do a thing called the silent jump, which is basically you tap A right when you're gonna hit the ground, and you can't be heard. So it's that's a little overkill in my opinion. Like, fully dead silent. That's the problem with Ghost now, is that it's pretty much, Search and Destroy is pretty much all, like, aggressive gunfights. Like, take the, if you guys know what I'm talking about, the red building on Freight. if you go from offense and you run it at the red building, no one can hear you, but also you can't hear them at all. Like, there's no strategy involved. You just kind of run at each other and try to get a kill. There's a little bit of strategy, but like not as much as there would be if it was Black Ops 2 and you could hear people drop from a very small distance. You would know where they were, you would know how they play. And so Black Ops 2's sound system was probably the best because without Dead Silence it was kind of hard to sound whore, which is a good thing. But with Dead Silence it was even harder, but it was still like not completely silent, so you could still hear people if they made a mistake. So it really made you cautious about what you were doing. And that's kind of the problem with Ghost, is that you can just be reckless and no one can stop it because it's completely silent. So on the one hand, you want Dead Silence as a perk because Search and Destroy might be bad without it. But on the other hand, this is going to be huge for strategy. It's not just going to be you can't just sprint around all the time and no one can hear you. You're going to have to use it at specific times to be able to play well. And with the pick 13 system, it's going to be different to what perks you use. If you want to use the overcharge perk to get more silent time, or if you want to use a different perk and just take less Dead Silence time. And that's where I think it could be really good if it's played the right way. Like when the competitive Search and Destroy maps get released, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of players looking to see where the most active parts of the map is. And basically that means where everyone wants to hold. And if there's going to be two guys, let's just go back to Freight Search and Destroy on Ghosts. On the defensive side, a lot of teams like to 2 to 3 stack the red building because that's a really advantageous point on the map because of it's 3 stories tall and you can see the A-bomb and you can see the cross to the B-bomb except for underground, but you can hear the underground gate open, so it's not a big deal. And so a lot of teams put 2 to 3 guys in there and they try to stack it, but if there was no Dead Silence, then everyone would hear the offensive team coming and it would be just easy picks. But say you have the Exo-Mute ability. You run to a certain point and you turn that ability on and then you're silent. And then you run into the red building and no one knows you're there. And you get a kill and then you run away and then you turn it off again because you're not in a really heavy choke point. And that's really what it could be good for, is the strategy involved. Because also in the perk description and for all the Exo abilities, you can turn them off whenever you want and turn it back on. It'll start up from what point you turned it off from. So if you run it for 10 seconds and then you turn it off, you still have 10 seconds left if you're not running overcharge. So the strategy is going to be pretty crazy. It really depends on what the sound is like for Advanced Warfare. You can't really tell until you really play it with a headset on and you really feel how the sound works. If it's like Black Ops 2 and it's a little bit more muffled footsteps, it'll be fine. It should work fine. But Michael Condrey said if it doesn't catch on for the esports scene, that he and the rest of the team will try to fix it. And that's just really cool about Sledgehammer. They're trying to make it more strategy based, and you know it can work. But if it doesn't work, they're cool and they'll go back and fix it. And that's why Sledgehammer is going to be really good for the competitive scene, because they listen to what we want. They listened that we wanted hardpoint and a broadcaster mode right at the start of the game and CTF and all this stuff. And so they just put a lot of time and effort into the esports community, and that's just really awesome for the whole community. So really this isn't that big of a deal if it doesn't work, because they can fix it, and that's what his Twitter says. Go follow him on Twitter. He has a lot of really cool updates and news about Advanced Warfare. You can ask him a question, he will probably respond. I've seen a lot of that, and it's just really cool to see what they're doing for the competitive scene. I don't know how the Exo-Mute's really going to work out. If it works out and it sticks and it requires strategy and it just makes it, that would just make it way more fun to play. Like, I love trying to create strategies and search and destroy and see what works the best, and like what nade spots to use and where to go if you're in this situation. So now that's a whole new element to the strategy part. When am I going to use my Exo-Mute? Like, do I use it now? Do I use it now? It all depends on where you are, especially if you're an aggressive submachine gun player, because there's a lot of different rushes people like to do. And I know I like to do them in Ghosts especially, because there's a lot of parts where in the Ghost Search and Destroy maps, where you can get by and get to the enemy side without them seeing you because they can't see every point. And Black Ops 2 Search and Destroy wasn't the best because it was a lot of one-on-one gunfights. It was kind of hard to sneak by if they were all watching a lane. And in Ghost, it's like, it's a little bit different because you can take Sovereign, for example. There's like the Snake area, the Blue Street area, and the Green Street area, but then there's like Top Control, and there's the Blue Catwalk and the Yellow Catwalk and the Underground, where those are all points where you kind of have to watch, but you can't watch it all at the same time, so it requires a lot of strategy. Like, maybe you want to just rush straight in and hope they're not looking, or you might want to make a delayed push or something like that. So it's really going to be all up to the strategy and how the players want to do it, and it's really just going to come down to that. But thank you guys for watching the video. Sorry I haven't posted in a while. It's kind of just because everything's stale right now, but when Advanced Warfare comes out, you can best believe I will be posting a lot of it. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.